video, I'm going to teach you how to work with Razorpay payment gateway. And we are going to implement that up with the help of Capacitor into our Ionic application. And in the backend, we are going to use NodeJS for implementing the payment gateway. So without wasting any time, let's get started with today's video. Cool, let's go. Now, in this video, at first we are going to start with setting up our Razorpay account. So I'm going to show you in brief how it can be done. Okay. So here I have already searched for Razorpay, which you can just see it in the browser. And once you do that up, you have to open up the first link which is showing up. And after opening the first link, what you are going to do, you are going to go for sign up. Once you go for the sign up, you have to pass your mobile number and get the OTP, pass it there. Okay. After that, you have to pass your name and just follow the process. Okay, for whatever reasons you are using that app, select that and go ahead with that. If you have any other website link, Android app or iOS link, you just simply pass it. Individual business I have selected, you have to pass your PAN number also, or you have to select any other business type that you are using it. Now, after passing your brand name here, you can simply continue and you have to select the category in which your business falls. Now, if you select the category, you will have to select the subcategories also and make sure that you select it properly. Otherwise, I don't see anywhere we can change it later on. Maybe you might find some settings. I didn't find it. So it's difficult to change it later on. So be very careful. And if you're selecting food, beverages and everything, then you have to take an FSSAI certificate. You need to have that. That is for fooding one. If you don't have the certificate, then you won't be able to go ahead with the KYC completion part, which I'm just going to show you in brief. Okay. So remember that, select it very carefully. Otherwise, you have to register another account for it if you are unable to change it. Fine. So now here I have selected e-commerce and I'm just going to show you the subcategories, but I'm going to go for the food beverages one. Let me just show you that also. I will just hit on edit and I can select the food and beverages one. Okay, this is what I have selected. I'm just moving ahead very quickly. Just check it out. Okay, if you miss anything, just go ahead with the flow. Okay. Now, after submitting everything, you have to select all the details for the KYC and you have to complete the KYC in order to go ahead to the dashboard one. Now, I have not completed the business step because FSSAI certificate I didn't had. So I have selected food and beverages. So now it's going to be troublesome for me. That is why I just wanted to show you this part. That is why I did that. But I already have an account which is already completed the KYC. So I'm going to show you that part. But if you haven't completed the KYC, this is how it is going to show up. Okay, you have to complete the KYC to get the API and all other stuff here. Now I have another account where the KYC is already done. Okay, and it is still in months. I have tested few payments and all of the stuff. So I'll just close that. And here, what you need to do, let me just show you how to create the API and all of the stuff, because in the earlier version, you didn't had the API and other stuff. If you have noticed, if you haven't noticed, just go back and check it out there, because I have closed that. Now API and key plugins were not there. Now, after going there, you have an option to generate new key. I have selected website because in Ionic application, we can just pass it in the website. You just have to go to test to access the test key. Fine, you can generate that. Now, after getting all this, you just simply need to integrate that with your application. You don't need for Android and iOS separately. If you want that, you can simply go ahead with that. But again, you have to pass different keys everywhere, which is troublesome for you. It's better to go for website one. Now, if you generate a new key, you will get the key ID and the key secret. You have to get the key secret and key ID, both of them, for the live one and for the test one also. Let me just show you the test part. So this is how the test one looks like. This is what you need to integrate in your application. Now we have got the keys. It's time to integrate that up with our Ionic application. I already have here an Ionic application which is created and it is a standalone project. If you're using the ng modules approach, still it is fine. You just need to understand what are the basic difference between the two, and I have made many videos on that. You can simply check that out. If you do not know, let me know in the comment section. I'll make a more specific video on that. What are the basic changes that you have to follow in order to transform your application from ng modules to standalone approach, or from standalone approach to ng modules. All right, going back to our application here, I have cleared up everything here and I have named it as Razorpay app. In the CSS, we don't have anything, and in the TS file also, we just don't have anything. If you're using ng modules, you don't see this imports and standalone one, you will have an modules file. Now, in the environment.ts file, you need to pass here in this particular way razor key, then key ID, and the secret one. This is how I have passed. You can change the format as per your requirement. Okay, so now you just simply pass it here, the test keys. Because we are in the development one, in the production one, it's better to pass the live keys that you have, live mode keys. So this is what I have done. You won't be able to see the keys, but yeah, don't worry about these things. I'm going to explain you later on why this is being used. Once you have understood that part, we can move ahead and work with the other stuff. What is that? Well, let's first focus on the design part, okay? Because we need to enter some amount to get to our Razorpay one. So for doing so, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to design it with an ion input within an ion card. So first we will have an ion card and it will be auto imported here. So you don't need to worry for the standalone approach. You know, I think about it. Within that, I will have an ion input. Okay. Now within this ion input, I will have certain properties. Don't worry about this ng module one. You need to work with forms module. So I will just import the forms module, and you already have it in the ng modules one. In the modules file, you just simply check that out. Okay, you will have your module file, go there, forms module will be there by default, so you don't need to worry about that. Now what else we need to do here? Let's get back where I was. Okay, fine. Now the amount I need to declare it here, amount, which will be of type number. Okay, that's what I'm going to have, and I'll give a not symbol here just to define that this is not empty, means it will have some value. So in order to check the design, I have to run Ionic serve here. Alright, so you can just see here I've organized everything, and now the design is showing up in this particular way, which is looking lovely, I think. Okay, now this is not the end. I will have a button within our ion input. We can give that button. Okay, in the latest version, that is one of the facility which we get. Let me format the document, and I am going to pass here an ion button. All right, in this particular way. For the ion icon, all of them are imported here. You can simply check it. These are imported by default, means automatically if you hover on it, it will get imported. Now here I simply have a simple button where I have cache outline to be the icon one, because I'm just going to show you the icon here, but it is not showing now because for the standalone approach you need to do something. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything for the ng modules approach, but for the standalone one you have to pass it in the constructor here, add icons. You can do it wherever you want, means in any page, but I will do it in the app.component.ts file because it will be accessed from anywhere, so you don't need to worry. Cache outline. Okay, this needs to be imported. Just look at it how I have got it done. So these are the imports. If you don't get the suggestion, simply do it directly. Okay, so now once you do that up, it is showing here pretty nicely and we are good to go ahead. Right, you can simply enter the amount whichever you want and it will take it. After doing that, we need a button here after the ion card. Let me go for a div here. This is how I'm going to do that, and let me close it. I'm going to define pay via Razorpay, a function. Okay, because here I have given a click event. Okay, pay with Razorpay, that's a function name. Fine, now the error is gone. So I'm disabling this particular button if the amount is less than equals to 0, or I have to give another condition, if not amount, or this is how the condition is going to be. Now it is disabled properly because initially we don't have any amount, so it is not set, right? It is undefined. That is why we have to take this condition also into consideration. Now once that is done, we have the basic design setup, right? So what's the next step which we are going to look forward, and let me just show you this part. If I just set something, it is working, and I have given a debounce of 600 milliseconds. That is why it is taking a little bit of time. You can reduce it if you want to. Let me reduce it to 500 milliseconds. I think that will be fine. So if I just type 1.2, it's showing up. That's fine. If you don't want a debounce one, you can simply remove it, but I think it's a better way to work with. The design is ready. What else we need to do here? We need to directly work with the functionality of the Razorpay one. Few important things which I want to share with you. First of all, don't go for the Razorpay capacitor integration because we are going to use capacitor this time. The plugin, don't install it directly. I'm going to show you that part later on, how to work with the capacitor plugin for the Razorpay one. But this is very important. You need to run here Ionic build at first. Okay. Once you do that up, you will get the www folder. Then you have to add your platforms and make sure that you pass capacitor.config.ts file. Here you simply pass app ID, which is more genuine because you have to change it later on if required. That is why pass a different one here. Once you do that up, I don't think you need to do anything else. Our www folder is ready. Now after that, you simply need to run here Ionic App add iOS. If you're using iOS, then add the iOS platform. I have already added, so I'm not going to go ahead. Simply hit enter and it will be done. After that, you simply go for Ionic App add Android. I have added Android also. Just add the platforms. Why I'm saying that? Because what I'm going to show you right now is very different, because that will be the integration part and there is a problem in that. So let me take you to the browser once again. And in the browser, what am I going to do? I'm just going to close it. Now let's search here. Let me just show you from the very scratch. Razorpay capacitor. This is what I'm going to search for. This is the one, the third link. You need to open it up. In this particular one, what you need to do, you need to go for capacitor integration. Click here, integration with capacitor standard one. Here you see version 1.2.0 was launched on 8 July 2020, long back, and they haven't launched any other new feature, any other new upgradation on that, which is a very big setback we have here. Because what happens is, the installation part, you need to go for build integration. In the build integration, what you will see here, how you're going to create an order, but we need to install it first. So I'll just click on the installation part. This is how you need to install it, and this is for capacitor version 3. At presently we are using capacitor version 5, but 6 is also about to be launched. So that is why it is very old. And in order to install that directly, you will face some problem. I have copied this package name and I'm going to get back to my project, go for npm I and install this particular package directly. It's not going to work. Let me just show you. I have already installed it. That is why this is the package which I have already installed. So it might not take it. Let's try it. I will just hit enter. Let's see what happens. Just look at it. I'm getting an error. Why that error is coming up? Because the capacitor version is clashing with it. Okay, we have the current version as 5.7.0 most probably, and there is a dependency issues that we are facing with that. In order to fix that, what you have to do is, in the earlier that you use this package npm I, then the package whatever you have, then you have to pass -- force. Now if you pass -- force, every time you need to install any plugin, you have to pass -- force there. Otherwise this is not going to work. It will give you an error. Because of this reason, I asked you to add the platforms for Android and iOS earlier on. Otherwise, if you run this command and try to use Ionic App add iOS or add Android, it's not going to work. It will give you an error. For doing that, you have to go for -- force, and for that you have to install it with npm or npxi, then the package name of the Android and iOS phone. It's better to install it at the very beginning and install the one that are forcing it at the very end. If you think that you have already installed this, you can uninstall that and install the other ones at first. Then finally at the very end, you can install this particular package or the one that you need to force at the very end. So I hope you have understood this particular part. It's a little tricky, but I hope you have grabbed it. Now moving ahead, we have done all the steps here, and in the package.json file, I already have it with -- force. You will get it installed. After doing that, what is the next step? Well, here, the first step actually, it says that you need to work with a backend and you need to create an order. So for creating an order, this is the one for the Node.js part. If you want to work with any other backend platform, then you can simply check it out. For PHP, for Python, for Java, mostly for everyone, they have given it up. Now I'm going to use Node.js here. That is why I'm just showing you the Node.js part. So for using the Node.js into our application, what I need to do? Well, I have to set up the Node.js project. And for doing that, I have created a folder called Razorpay test in any location, whichever you want. Within this folder, what I'll do is I'll create a new file called index.js. All right. And I'll run here npm init dash dash yes. If I run that, I'll get a package.json file within which I will have the test script. Now I need to add here another script called start, which will run for npm start directly. And here I will simply pass node, and I need to access this index.js file. So this is the location which I need to pass, and it will run this index.js file. Now if you simply run here npm start, just check it out. It is accessing the index.js. For the time being it is empty, that is why nothing else is happening here. So now we need to install some package here. First of all, npm I need to install Razorpay. I need to install Express.js here. Okay, Express package, I'm going to use it. Then we need course also. We need .env for our .env file. We are going to have that to keep our keys. Okay, so I'm going to install everything at once to save time. And finally, there is one more stuff which I need, will be crypto. Now, why crypto will be used, I'm going to explain later on. But for the time being, just install all this at once in this particular way, and all of them will be installed in your package.json file. You will just be able to see the versions after getting installed, and you will have a node modules file here. So this is going to be the stuff that you are going to have it. And here you see all the packages with their versions. So we have everything set up properly. Now in the index.js file, what am I going to do? I'm going to use this packages Express Razorpay in this particular way, and also I need to create a .env file here. So .env, okay, within which I'm going to pass the keys here, and I'm going to pass the live key. Or if you don't want the live key to be passed, you can pass the which one? The test keys. So this is how you need to pass your key ID and the key secret. Okay, just simply replace this with your keys and you're good to go. So for the time being, I have just passed the test keys here, and we're going to work with that. So in the env file, we need to access it also. Now here, all these things we are going to use it. So basically I'm using the express and app.use, because directly using the Node.js, you have to do a lot of things. Express helps you out in that. And I've already explained about Express in my course for Node.js. You can simply check that out. Link is there in the description. You will learn there how to work with Node.js with TypeScript and all other stuff. So here I'm passing the port number to be 3000, and I've passed host as my IP address there. Now this will be used, the course one will be used in this particular way, so you won't have any course problem here. All right. And express will be used so that directly we can go for app.post, app.get, directly we can use that up. Now let me import the crypto also. Okay, we are going to use it later on, but still I have just imported it. Now after doing that, I will have my Razorpay secret key. Okay, I'll just put it in a constant here so that I can use it wherever it's required. Now the next thing we need to check is the browser one, means what is shown in this particular one, how we can set this up. So we have to pass certain options which we can pass from the front end, and we have to prepare these options to create the order so that we get the order ID, and we can simply pass on to our checkout one, which we have to do it in the front end. Don't worry, you will just see all the stuff here. Let's get back and implement this up into our code here. So what am I going to use? I'm going to use app.post here, and we have to pass a URL. You will be able to access this particular one at this particular IP colon 3000. Okay, that's how I'm going to use it. But let me finish it for the time being. Or should I show you something? Okay, let me just show you one thing. Well, you have two ways to listen to this particular URL. One is directly go for the port one, and it will be running on localhost colon 3000. Let me just show you. If you go for npm start, it's going to run at 3000. Okay, and how do we check it whether it is running at 3000 or not? For testing that up, I'm simply going to pass it here app.get, and this will be just a /main root URL, and here I'm just simply responding it with a text. So let's check it out in our browser now. If I'm just looking for, okay, I'm not using node mode here, so I just need to stop it and run it again to get the real changes or the actual changes that I have made to be accounted. Now I'll go for localhost colon 3000 and you see test Razorpay test is working. Now if I go for my IP 192, this is the IP. If I go here, still it is working. Fine. Now if I go for the specific IP here, which is which one? If I just open this particular code and comment this out. Now what will happen if I run it again, stop and run again. Now this time, what will happen if I just refresh it? This is working. And here, just check this out, localhost is not working. So you have to do this in order to access through a specific IP. This is how you can do that. You can pass the host name here or the IP here and you're good to go. So completely up to your choice what exactly you want to do here. All right, so moving ahead, I will just skip it for the time being. Now we have got the basic how we can get request, how we can work with that. Now I have to simply work with the post request here for our Razorpay one. So I'm going to put a post request where the URL means it after the 3001/order will be our URL, and I'm passing here request next and response. That's what I'm going to get. All right, I'm making async because I'll be using try catch here. In the catch one, I'll simply pass a status of 500 in the response with a JSON data of error. This is how I'm going to send it. And in the try block, what am I going to do? At first, we will get the data from our request one. So we'll get this data in a constant, and by going for request.body, that's how we are going to get the data, and you can log the data if you want to. And finally, after doing that, we are going to use our Razorpay and pass the key ID and secret to make an instance of it. Because here, let me just show you where it was, where it is. Okay, here we have to create an instance of the Razorpay one. Otherwise, this is not going to work, which is not shown here. Don't need to worry. I know the stuff. That is why I'm showing you. You can just look at the official documentation of Razorpay. You will get it there. Fine. Now this is how to create an instance. After creating an instance, we can use it to create an order with the help of Razorpay. Hope you're getting it right. Now after doing that, we have to create our data here. So these are our options that was being passed here, right? This is what you saw, okay? Now if you want to pass any receipt string, you can simply pass it, receipt ID or anything, but we don't have that. So I'm just simply going to pass the currency and the amount that I'm going to get from my front end, that I'm going to pass it from there, okay? Now after doing that, we can simply create our order. Now to create the order, this will be my code which I'm going to use, instance.orders.create, which is same as the one that you saw here, where I'm going to pass the options and the functionality will be used in this particular way. Okay, you can pass function here also, that is a JavaScript format, and this is a TypeScript format which you use, so you can use it in JavaScript also, don't need to worry about it. And if you get any error, you are going to throw a response with 500 error, and this is JSON response which we are going to get, and otherwise you will get a status of 200 which will be a success one, and we are going to send the order there. So that is how we are going to prepare our order API. Hope you are clear about it, and our API for the order one is ready. Now what is the next step which we need to follow? We need to follow, okay, all these things you can simply pass it here and you just look at it. This is our optional one. Mandatory is amount and currency are mandatory, others are optional. If you don't pass it also, still it will not give you any error, it will go ahead. And even ID is mandatory, but ID we haven't passed because it will be taken automatically obviously when the order is created. Now we have already installed the Razorpay Capacitor plugin. This is the stuff you need to pass it in your ProGuard rules.pro. Fine, after adding the platforms you need to do that. So I will simply search here, let me close it, and I'm going to search here ProGuard. This is the one. I'm using Command+P or Control+P for Windows to open that one that I just showed you. There you can simply search for the files. Now here at the very bottom I have simply passed this code here, okay? That's what you need to do, which is being shown here, and you're good to go. Now in the main activity.ts Java file, not TS, Java file, you need to do certain stuff. Now in the main activity.java file, you have to pass this particular stuff actually within the bridge activity, and for the bundle one you have to import this particular one which is not shown here, and if you don't do that you will get an error. For the checkout one you need to pass it in this particular way for capacitor version 5. Okay, before the super.onCreate one you need to pass it up. Make sure you do that. If you play around with the organization part you might face some problem. After doing that, pass the import and you're good to go. Okay, so these 3 imports are needed and this is the stuff which you need. This is done for our main activity. What is next we need to work with? Well, I need to show you one more thing here. For the Android manifest, I have done something. In the Android manifest, I have passed uses clear text traffic. Well, if you are using HTTP, and there might be a course problem which we have already tackled in our Node.js one, but still if you face some problem you need to pass here uses clear text traffic here in the Android manifest file, and you can just see the location within the application one you need to pass it and you're good to go. Alright, so this is also shown and I hope you have understood it pretty easily. After doing that, you don't need to do anything with the Android variables and you can come down to the add checkout code which you need to do it in your front end. So let's work with the front end code now, which is very interesting actually. I'll go to home page, and in the home page we need to work with this functionality, but I'm going to go for a service to work with that, so that if you ever want to work with the functionality, same functionality in some other application, you can do that with the help of this service. So Ionic G service, within our services folder, which will be created automatically, I'm going to create a Razorpay folder. Within that I will have a Razorpay service. This is how the hierarchy I'm going to create it, and within this service I'm going to pass some functionality. The first functionality will be to call the create order API. Now to work with the API calling, you need to work with HTTP client here, for which I'm just going to inject it directly, which is in the latest version of Angular. If you don't want to pass it in constructor, it's fine. You pass it here using the inject function. Import that and import the HTTP client also in this particular way, but it will not work. You know why? You need to go to your main.ts file if you're using standalone approach, or you go to app.module.ts file if you're using ngmodules approach. In the ngmodules approach, you need to just simply pass HTTP client module in your imports in the app.module.ts file. But if you're using standalone approach, you need to go to main.ts file and you need to pass here provide HTTP client. Okay, and you need to import this provide HTTP client from this particular package. Okay, this is imported, which you can just see here. And if you have any token, you need to work with any token you can use with interceptors and pass the token function here, not class function you need to pass here. So you need to convert the class part into a function and work with that. All these things are explained in my course for Ionic with Node.js. You can simply check that course also. Link is there in the description. Moving ahead, we have done the basic part as of now. The integration part is still left. So I will go to the service file now and work with the API part. For the first API that we are going to create for calling our create order, this is the API functionality that I'm going to have, where the param data that I will be getting from the page, home page, which I'm just going to create it. And I'm going to call the HTTP post here, where I will pass the API, the environment API that we need. So I need to go to environment.ts file at first. Here I need to enable this particular API. Don't think about the next one. I'm going to explain it later on, but this is very important. Okay, this is the API which we have already seen the working concept of it for the basic slash one. Now we are going to implement for it the order one. Okay, similarly you can do the same for the prod file also. Just uncomment it and go to Razorpay.service file. Now here last value from we need to access it in order to convert it into a promise. Earlier toPromise was used, but it is deprecated, so you need to use last value from or first value from. I'm going to use the last value from because we are going to get the final value that will be coming out from here. and I'm going to pass it in the data, whatever response we will be getting, and return that at the very end. So our API for this particular stuff is ready. I just need to import this environment and we are good to go. Now I need to go to the TS file of the home page where I need to work with this particular functionality, make it async, as we are going to work with try catch async await. So catch in this particular way. Within the catch block, what I need to do is I can log the value, and even I can pass a loader also. Whenever it's working, we can pass a loader also here and set the loader to false whenever we get an error. It's very important to work with the loader. It looks nice. And also we can pass a toast message also that there's some error is there. But how to work with both of them? Let me just show you. We are going to work with ion toast and ion loading here in the HTML part. But at first, let me just fix this. So ion this dot loader, I'll set it to true here. Okay, and in fact set it to false also, and between these two I'm going to have my functionality. Okay, now I need this to function at first, so let's create that functionality. So here I'm going to have two more properties. One is for isLoading set to false initially, and a toast object which I'm going to use it for showing the toast message. Now here I'm going to import or inject this service along with the functionality for our set toast and loader also. So for the functionality to inject, I will call this inject function, which is already imported, and Razorpay service is also imported, which you can just see it here. Fine. This is how it is imported, and we are good to go ahead with it. Now I have a set means loader function where the isLoading value will change, and based on that only our ion loading will show and hide. Don't worry, I'm going to show that part also. And this is a set toast function which I prepared, where you can pass dynamic message and color you can change of the toast message, which you can simply pass it here as an object, and is toast is set to true initially, because if you don't have that is toast value, then you have to pass something, because we are going to use is open in our HTML part for accessing or for opening up the ion loading, and in fact the toast one also. So how I'm going to implement that up, let me just show you. Here I'm going to implement ion loading. This is how it will be done, and I will have certain properties. So let me just put it directly. Is open will be set, or it will show up when is loading is true, and I pass animation so that it fades some animations or whatever it has by default, and spinner will be crescent. You can change it as per your requirement. You can just check the official document. Now this part is done, and I need one more thing, which is a toast message one. So for the toast message, I am going to use ion toast in this particular way. Hover on it, it will get imported. So is open when is test is true, then only it will work. After that is animated, I've set it to true. Message will be dynamic, that we are going to get it from the toast object. Duration I've given 3 seconds, that's it. If you want to change it or make it dynamic, you can do that. We already have the option, right? If you can access with keyboard also, this particular toast message means if you like swipe up and down, then it will like close it. Okay, because I've given just swipe gesture to be vertical, so up and down. If you're at the bottom position, then I think swiping down will close the ion toast. All right, you can just read the official documentation to understand that. By default, I have given position to be bottom, and the color will be dynamic here, of course. So the design is ready along with the ion loading and ion toast. Hope it's clear to you. Let's move to our TS file. Now in the TS file, we have all the setup ready, no more errors and everything. All the imports are done. Now within this, I need to access some code. What will be that? Await this dot Razorpay dot create Razorpay order, and I need to pass some data here. So what is the data I'm going to pass? Well, let me just show you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create an object where I'm going to pass the amount, this dot amount, that we will be getting it from here, because we have using ng model here. Okay, so this amount into 100, because it will be showing up that certain amount only, but you need to multiply it with 100. That's how it's going to work. And you can change the currency as per your requirement. I have given INR for Indian rupee. You can change it to dollar also, or any other stuff which you want to use. Okay, so USD you can write for US dollars. Now after doing that, I simply need to pass this object here, and we are good to go, and simply log the value here of the order area. I will not test it right now because I know it will work, but still we have to complete some other task in order to check it properly. Otherwise it will create the order ID, but we won't be having any other stuff here. What will be the next step? Let's check the documentation. So in the documentation here, this is the code that is being shown up. You can pass all this stuff, the name which you want to show up there, and pre-fill email ID and contact. Okay, for the email ID and contact, it's important. If you pass it, it's better. Theme also you can change it, all right, but all these things you have to pass it for the checkout.open. For doing so, what am I going to do? I will create a param here, param data, in which I'm going to pass the email and phone number, which can be dynamic, or you can just pass it static also if you want to. For the time being, I think I need to pass it here. It's gonna be better. Let me pass it here. Email, any email I've given of mine, and any phone number which is not applicable also maybe. All right, so this is access. Now amount, I am passing the same amount only, and the order ID, from the order data we are going to access the order ID that we will be getting from here, and we are going to pass it into our param object. After we do that, we have to stop the loader, because what happens is when you are accessing the Razorpay one, it will open up a pop-up, and means it will show up the UI of its own, so the loader won't be helpful here. So it's better we close it. Fine. Now after that, we need to access the checkout functionality here. For doing so, let me just show you what is the code that is required. For doing that, this is the code that we need to access. Okay, Razorpay.pay with Razorpay. And why I'm doing that? Because I am not going to access it directly from here. I'm going to access it from my service. That is why I've created the service, so that we can do all the stuff here. So let's work with this functionality here. I have to create a function called pay with Razorpay to get the error removed from our page, home page one. Okay, we have to pass some data also. Let me pass param of type any, and I'm going to create try catch block here. Let me make it a sync also. Now here I'll create a constant options that will be an object, okay, where I'm going to pass few things that is shown here, right? And after doing that, what am I going to do? I will have this functionality. I'll call the checkout.open. Now this checkout I need to import from Capacitor Razorpay, and these options will be the options that will be passed here. Don't worry, it is showing an error here, but it will be solved as soon as I pass some data here. Fine. Now after that, I'll just simply log the value, and we are going to get a response within this data. So I'm logging everywhere so that I can show you all the stuff at once. Now in the options one, what I need to pass, well, the stuff that is shown here, you simply need to pass all of it, or the ones that are required. You can simply check the official documentation to understand it better. This is where the mandatory stuff is shown, and the optional part is also shown. I'm going to pass the stuff which I need. Okay, first of all, the key ID I'm going to pass, then the amount I'm going to pass, and you have to pass the amount as a string. So remember that toString needs to be appended with the amount that you are going to pass. After that, image is optional. If you want to pass this favicon one, you can just go for that. What happens is when you're going for live mode, means if you're testing in your mobile applications, this thing doesn't work most of the time. Okay, there is a problem with that. So it's better to pass a URL from the HTTP one. So if you pass that up, it's going to work everywhere. That is why I think I will work with this particular one. So completely your choice. I'll just show you this particular one at first. Then finally, when we work with the Android and iOS, I'm going to show you the other one. All right. Currency, you can simply change as per your requirement. Name I have passed test app. This will be showing up there. And pre-fill email and phone number, the same email and phone number which I have just passed there. Okay, in the home page, this is the email and phone number, which is the one that I have passed it here in the model one. That's what I'm accessing there. And the theme, you can select any theme of the design or the UI which will show up for the Razorpay payment gateway. So I've just selected this greenish color. If you want to change it, you can simply change it as per your requirement. Basically, you can match it with your theme. But I wanted to show you that it can access any other theme also. That is why I've given a different color, which is not in our theme right now. I think it's the success color maybe. And finally, all the stuff is ready. So let me test it in the browser once. I'll go with an amount of, let's say, 10 rupees, or you can go for 1 rupee also. I'll hit the, okay, let me just open this up so that you can see the logs here. All right. Now at presently we are in the test mode, right? And we have our backend running, but I want to run it once again just to check everything is fine or not. Okay. So that is ready and we are ready here also. Let's try it out and check whether it works or not. So what is happening? We are able to go inside the Razorpay UI. It is showing up here and it is in the test mode. This is how it looks like. If you go for, let's say I'm going to go for PhonePay. Okay, let me go for PhonePay. I don't need to do anything, I think. Okay, pay now. Let me click on that. What's wrong? Directly PhonePay and all other stuff is not working. Okay, okay, payment successfully. It takes some time in test mode because we don't have to pass anything. It will take it automatically. But you have the option to pass. Just look at this. This is what we are going to get in the data here. We are getting the response and we are getting the Razorpay payment ID. That is what I'm getting in the response data, which is coming up where exactly this is the place where I'm getting the data. Now, before that, I want to show you one more thing. We must be getting something else also. This is the, not this actually, this is the order data. Within the order data, when we are creating that, we are getting the amount due, paid, and all other stuff. We are mostly interested in the ID part. So we will take this ID. We have already done that part. And the web part will be removed from Capacitor version 4, but it is not yet removed. But still, I don't recommend to use it in web. It's better to use it in Android and iOS for the time being. But yeah, there also, until unless they upgrade it, it's going to be tough for integration part. Now, this part is done. Let's try it once again. I'll click here and it will go to the test mode. Let me try some card because we have some dummy card here. I'm going to show you that. If you just search for Razorpay dummy cards, you will get the option here, test integration. For UPI, you can simply pass for success at Razorpay and you will get the success one. If you want to see the failure one, you can just type this particular UPI ID. Okay, for the cards, these are the cards that are available. Let me go for the domestic one. I have tried this one also, it works. For the international one, you can try it up. Let me go for this card number, expiry, any future date will be fine. XYZ, anything you can simply pass 1 2 3 and simply go for pay. This is how it's going to open up. I want to see the success one. I've clicked on it and we are going to see the success one. If you clicked on the failure one, you will see the failure one. So they have implemented it pretty nicely. It takes a little bit of time, but yeah, it's pretty useful to work with Razorpay stuff here. I'm happy with that. We have seen the test part working pretty nicely into our browser one. So all the stuff which was needed here is already done. Now let's check it out whether we need to integrate something else or not before testing it in our real devices. In this simulator and emulator basically. What is the next step? Enable UPI intent on iOS. So what is an intent? Basically, it will open up the application of PhonePay and Paytm or Tej, which is the Google Pay, directly from your application. If you're using it in your mobile devices, it can directly open it up. And they have provided this feature for iOS one. I think in Android one, it can be done directly. Mostly for the iOS one, you need to pass it. So you can simply copy this code and you have to go to info.plist file. So I'll just minimize it, go to info.plist file, and here I have already passed it. Once you do that up, if you need UPI intent for recurring payments, means after, let's say you have monthly subscription or that kind, you can simply create a Swift file or .m file called view control or any other name if you want to pass, and you have to pass this particular code there where you need to fix it. What is the amount that you want to take, what is the currency, how many times you are going to recurring, and all other stuff which is needed. So this is how you have to create it. Well, I don't want to show you this particular part. You can try it out. I've not tried it yet, but apart from that, they have said that we will be getting these three things: payment ID, the order ID, and the signature. We don't get it actually. We only get the Razorpay payment ID in the success one. We don't get the order ID or the signature here. So yeah, this is not working for us. Maybe in the latest version we might get it. Not yet. Now verify payment signature. So for the payment signature to be verified, we need to get this Razorpay signature. If we don't get that, it's not going to work. For doing so, I'll just show you the stuff how it can be implemented. But yeah, in order to implement that, you need to get the Razorpay signature, which we don't get it right now. I can just show you the code how it can be done. So after paying with Razorpay, it's time to confirm it, whether the payment is successful or not, or the order ID is same or not. So for that, this is the code that I'm going to use, where I'll check a condition if Razorpay signature is available, because as we have seen, it is not available. So if it is available, then only we are going to go ahead and work with that. If it is available, then I'm going to create another order param where the order ID will be there. We will get it from there, and we will get the payment ID and the signature. Those three things which we have already seen, we should get in the success one. Here I have passed that directly. The order ID, I'm passing it from the order ID which we have created, not the one that we will be getting it from here if we get the data, because we need to verify it from the server end. That is why. Now after doing so, I'll have another confirm payment functionality in my service which I'm just going to create, which will help us to work with that to connect with the backend for the verification part of the signature. So let's go to our service and work with that functionality. So here I'm going to create a function called confirm payment, which will accept another param. And here again, I'm going to use the HTTP one to call confirm payment, which we'll be creating it in the backend just now, where I'll just get the data in the response and simply going to return it. That's the only stuff I'm going to do for the time being. If we have the signature, then it will work. In the backend, we need to work with this functionality here. For doing so, we need to do lots of things actually. So let's do it one by one. Now, as you can see here, we have to create the signature at first, and then we need to verify it for the Node.js part. Now let's get back to our code here. So now the crypto part comes into play. Why I was using this particular package, you will come to know now. After doing this stuff, before accessing the APIs, I will create a function here called generate Razorpay signature, where I'll get order ID, payment ID, and the secret key within my, means whatever we'll be getting it in the parameters. I'm going to access that up. This is how the HMAC will be created. This is an encryption thing which is already shown here. This is how the HMAC hex digit will be created and will be checked here. So it's the same stuff is being done here. We are going to get the payload, and what is the payload, where we are going to pass the order ID and the payment ID that we are going to get it. After that, it will be generated with the help of the digest function that we have in the HMAC. So all part of the crypto one. So after that, I'm just going to simply return the generated signature. Okay, now this function, where I'm going to use it, I'm going to create an API where I'm going to use this functionality. So let me just show you here. I'll just pass the API and directly work with that. This is my API here, where I have request response, next is not needed, but if you want to pass, you can simply pass it. I'll get the order ID and payment ID, because that is what we are passing it from our front end. This is what we are passing, order ID, payment ID in the signature part, if we get that. So this is what I'm going to access, is two things I'm accessing it here, and I'm going to pass those two things within my generated signature function for the Razorpay one. And the Razorpay key secret I have already passed in the constant one here, so I can directly access it. Okay, so after that, I'll get the signature in a constant, that is our Razorpay signature, which we will be getting it from the front end part. Okay, if we have that, and we are going to match that up. If the generated signature matches the Razorpay signature, then the payment is successful, and we can directly send a response that payment is successful. Otherwise, there is an invalid signature or the payment is failed. That's what we are going to send it. Well, that is why I've just given a condition here that if this Razorpay signature is available, then only we are going to test it up. Otherwise, we are not going to test it up. So we are ready up till here. Okay, we have done the testing part also for the verification of payment status, but it doesn't work since we don't have the proper data in response. Now, what is left? We have done the generated signature on your server. We have done that. Post verification, you have to set up hooks. Now, what are hooks? Let me show you that part, which is very important. What does it do is it automatically verifies your payment. Means whatever the status of your payment is, whether it is pending or it is done or everything, it will give you a response, okay, automatically. So you have to pass your link there in order to access it. Let me just show you how it can be done. So that is a briefing that I have given. Now this is how you can create a hook. Just go to your Razorpay dashboard and navigate to account and settings. Click hooks under website and app settings. Click the plus button to add another hook button. Now this is how it can be done. And so what I'll do here is I'll go to my dashboard, which is available. Where is my dashboard, man? All right, this is my dashboard, and I will go to account and settings here. In the account and settings, I will go to webhooks. In the webhooks, I have already created a webhook here. What you need to do is click on the add new webhook, and you need to pass a URL which you will be able to access it. Okay, means where you want the post data, that it is going to post the data, you will get the response. Okay, so in our backend, where it is in our backend, we need to do something in order to access data. All right, but we are using this stuff into a local server, right? How can we access it? Now what will be the functionality? Let's work on that first, and then we will look into the how to access it. So at first, let's check it out what exactly we need to do here with the hooks one. We have to set up this hooks, and don't pass this, remember this, you don't need to pass this in your pod file. If you pass it up, you will get some errors for the M1 MacBook also. So don't pass this one, skip this part and just go ahead. Now what am I going to do to get the hook to be ready? I need to access some code. So in the backend, I'm going to create an API to get the notification from our hooks, Razorpay webhook one, okay, to handle it up. So this will be my URL where the notification will be hitting it up, and I'll be getting the data, so that you get the real-time stuff, how the process is going on, whether you have any payment failure or something, then you can simply update your stuff. That is why this webhook is very, very important to work with. Now within this, I will have certain data. At first, I'll be getting it in the request. Okay, so you can just stringify that to make it a payload. And now we are going to work with the payload to make a signature out of it. Now this is a signature that means you can get it from the headers. Okay, this they will be passing it up, and you will get it in this particular way from the Razorpay headers. You are going to get that Razorpay signature one. So you can simply log that up, what exactly you get there. And after doing that, well, there is a verification process also that you can simply follow, but the code that I have written doesn't work actually. This verification part, you can simply work with this verification part where you might be needing this payload, okay? And you can simply pass the signature along with the key secret. Okay, if you pass that up and verify with this particular functionality, which I'm just going to show you, if you get the stuff, then the process will be done. But I don't think this verification is required here for the webhook one, as it is not shown. So I can simply skip that part and work on with the body one, where we will get payment authorized or payment fail or something. Those kind of events we are going to get. So you can simply track on with the event part. Okay, that's the only stuff you need to do. Here you will get in the body event or something. I'm just going to show you that part also. Don't need to worry. All right, so what am I going to do now? Let me just show you this functionality which I have prepared. So if it works for you, then it's fine, but I get different signatures for both of them, so that is not working for me. Maybe I did something wrong with the signature part. Maybe it's not required also. It is not shown here that we need to do some verification process for that. But anyways, you can do the verification process that we left earlier. Same thing, only you can try it here. So what I'll do here is I'll just get back and I'll create a function here called verify signature, and within this I'll get the payload, signature and secret. So same way we are creating it here, but the payload is being like done in this particular way. In the other one, I am doing it, I'm just stringifying the data, so I can just do the reverse one if needed. Then we will get a better stuff, but I need to get the order ID also, which we are not going to get it. So yeah, I just tried this code. I just found it somewhere, so I just tried it, but it is not working, this verify signature part. That is why I just showed you how to work with that. Well, if it works for you, if the signature matches, then it's great. You can try this particular code also, but you need to pass the order ID in order to access it up. If it works there, it's going to be great. The verification process will be done here only. Otherwise, I'm simply interested in the event that I get, whether the payment is authorized or payment is failed or something else. Now, how we are going to access that up, I'm going to show you. The functionality is ready to receive this particular one, and we have logged in each and every way to access it up properly into our console log, right? Now, this particular thing, well, I don't need to go for the logs here because we are already logging it here. So not needed to log it twice, or you can just remove it and log it here. That's what you can do. And simply send a response where you are not going to send any response. Now we are into the final step. So in the final step, what am I going to do? I'm going to create a link which will be accessed from the internet. How am I going to do that? I'm going to use Ngrok for that. You need to simply log in here. I mean, sign up with an account and go ahead with that. I'm not going to show you that part. It's pretty easy to set up the account. And after setting up the account, you will get to the dashboard here where you need to, for the Mac OS, you simply need to install the brew and you're good to go. If you don't have the homebrew, well, you need to install the homebrew also. And I think I've shown you earlier, but if you do not know, you can simply check it on the internet. It is available in my course also. If you're a Windows user, you simply click on Windows, and this is how you can like go for the installation part. Chocolatey. If you don't have, you can simply download it and go ahead with this stuff. Simple. Now this thing you need to edit in your console log for the Windows one, and same goes for Mac OS one also. You need to access this token and pass it in your console log. So this particular command, at first you need to run it. So what I'll do is I'll open up a terminal. Well, this is already running in my one, but still I will show you. Okay, you just need to open up your terminal and paste this. It will install the Ngrok. Okay, after doing that, I have already done it, so I'm not going to do that. You need to run, means copy your stuff here and pass it here. Okay, once you do that up, the setup will be ready. Fine, I'm not going to do that also, so I'm just clearing it up. You just need to pass it. After that is done, what you need to do is you need to run this particular command here, which is very important. Just focus on this command. You have written this, but you don't need to hit enter. Here, you need to pass your proper address. What am I going to do is I'm going to go to my backend here and close it. Okay, I'm going to run this particular code instead of the host one. Okay, because if it can access from the internet, I can access the localhost one also. So I'm going to run this. This is very important. If it doesn't run, then it's not going to work. Now I will get the access to my localhost here, localhost colon 3000. Okay, so this is what we need to run it. If you pass this and hit enter, let me just close it. Okay, I'll just show you again. Close it. I have already done that. Let me hit enter and this will open up. Once this is opened up, you need to open up this particular link here which you get in your stuff. Now I'm going to open this particular one here. Hit enter. You get a URL. Okay, you simply need to copy this URL and pass it in your code. Where you need to pass it, simply pass it in your environment. That is the API you need to access instead of this particular one. Simply comment this and uncomment this one. Same goes for PROD one. Here also comment this and uncomment this particular one. Pass a slash at the very end. Remember that. If you don't pass a slash, it's not going to work properly because the URL, the way we have passed, it should be the same like the way we have done here. Alright, so you're good to go for this particular stuff. Now the only thing that is left is the webhook part, which I'm just going to show you where it is. This is the webhook part. You need to pass this URL here, all right, with a slash. Now you need to pass here your any password which you want to access. Simply pass a password. Email, you pass any email you want. Okay, let me pass any email. Now, what kind of events you want to access? Mostly it will give you payment.authorize if the payment is successful. So I want to get all the events, okay? Order, paid, and invoice also if it is paid or not, refund, everything. I want to access all the events. Okay, I've just left the fund events. If you want to access that also, you can simply access it up, but access the ones which you actually need. Mostly the authorized one and the failed one, mostly you need. Apart from that, I think you don't need anything else, but still I have taken all of them into consideration. Now you can simply hit on create and it will create that. The same link you need to pass it for the live mode also. So this is for the test mode because I'm in the test mode. That is why this webhook is created for the test mode. You have to go to the live mode to create again for the live mode also. It will not show the same stuff. And there you will have some extra events also. Again, I'll just go here. Just check this out. There are, I think, if you select all this, I think you will get 27 events apart from the fund one. Just check this out. Okay, yeah, token one is also there. So 3 extra for the token one, 27 events. You can access this up and pass the same URL here. Yeah, that's it. And you're good to go. Once you do that up, it will be enabled and that is how you're going to go to work. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. You just click on it to edit it up. This is how you can edit it. You have to pass the Razorpay hook. I just forgot that because that is the URL name that we have passed here /Razorpay hook, not the actual URL, which actual URL /Razorpay hook in both the scenarios, in the test mode and the live mode. Then only it will hit this particular API. We need to access this API. So this is what you need to pass and you are good to go. Now, whenever the payment is successful or something, it will hit this API and you will get the data there in your backend. And then you can work around with that, whatever you want to do. Almost everything is covered up. It's time to try this in real devices, basically in the simulator and emulator. So what am I going to do? In the backend, at first, you need to go to your env file and convert those test files. If you have passed the production files, then it's fine. If you have passed the test files, change it to live mode files. Okay, the live mode key and secret. That I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to show you that part, but that needs to be done. Now, after that is done, what I will do here is everything is ready. In the backend, at first, I'll just close it and run it again so that all the changes are done properly. And we don't see any problem here. In the front end also, everything should be fine. Here, everything is running. So I'll just minimize it. Now, in the front end, we don't need to do anything. Everything is set up properly since we are not going to use anymore in our browser. So I'll just close it. And I'm going to sync the project at first. This is how we are going to sync it. Now once the syncing is complete, I'll go for Ionic App, open iOS. Alright, the Xcode is opened up. iPhone 15 Pro, which is the latest one as of now. So I've selected that already. I'll hit the play button and it will open up the simulator for the iOS one. It is installing the app and it's about to be launched. Meanwhile, let's open up our Android one also. So Android. Now in the Android one, this is the one that I have selected, which I had in my emulators. Okay. So I'm just going to run that. All right. This is opened up and how to like plug it out of it. All right. I plugged it out and enlarged it. Okay. So the app is running here and let me get the iPhone also. Where is the iPhone one? This is the one. Okay. All right. So now I have iPhone simulator and Android emulator opened up. Let's try it one by one. So I'm just going to try it here with rupee 1. Okay. Let's go for that. Well, it is not showing up. Let me just see what is the error. For doing that, I will open up the Safari here. Let's go to the developer and select it. It's showing up. Let me move it towards the end. Now I need to just reload it. Okay, now I'll be able to see the stuff here. I'll hit 1 and click on it. Now I'm getting an error here. Okay, it's not able to. Okay, due to access control checks. What is the error here? All right, actually the URL changed. Okay, when I just hit it again, the URL changed. So I need to change it here, edit it. Well, this is the webhook, right? So yeah, in fact here also I need to change it actually. So simply change it in this particular way. Make sure you do it properly. Save it, close it. For the test mode, I don't think I need to do that, but let's do it there also. Every time you need to be sure that the URLs are proper. So there it is changed. Now we need to change it in our front end also. So in the front end, the URL will change to this particular one. in both the files. In the prod one also I need to change it in this particular way. Again, I need to like open the Android and iOS by syncing the project. First of all, sync the project. So you need to be very careful with that. Okay, if you're running it again and again, the URL will change, so remember that. All right, so this is done. Now I'll get back, and that's my Xcode. And in the Xcode, what if I run it again, or should I open it up again by closing it? It will be better to get rid of any issues if we have any. So let me just close it, stop all tasks. Even the Android one also I'll close it. Fine, let's open it up again. Open Android and open the iOS one also in this way. Once the iOS is opened up, simply hit on the play button. For the Android one also, let me open the Android Studio and hit the play button here. Okay, it is saying installation finished, but where is my device? I don't see the device here. All right, this is my device. Let me minimize it. And where is my simulator? That's the one. Okay. All right, let me minimize all of it once again. Even Safari also. I hope this time we won't get any error. Let's try it. I'll go for rupee 1 and hit the pay with Razorpay. What do we get? I think it will open up. Yeah, it took some time, but it is opening up. There we go. Now here you can simply pass your original stuff to work with. So if you go for UPI, well, it is still not working here. What about this one? Okay, I think I didn't change it, right? So in the Razorpay service, I didn't change it. Yeah, it's my mistake. So if you change it up, it's going to run. So this time just check it out. It is working because I sync the project again with this URL and it is showing up here. And you see the PhonePe and all of the stuff also, which is showing up. That's in fact great. So you can just pass your PhonePe ID or in fact the other stuff which you want to work with and it will be done. So let me just try it. So the payment is transmitted and I'm just going to get the link here in my phone and it will be done. So now it's about done and you will just see I'm able to get the notification about to be done and we get the payment successful. So the test part is done. We have done the payment for rupee 1. All right. Now same thing we are going to try it for our Android device, but again I need to run this in Android once again. So open it up in Android so that we don't end up into seeing the same stuff once again. Okay, let me just run it. Now let's try it here also. It's done. So I'll just hit on pay with Razorpay. Let's check it out. We get the image properly coming up and I will go again with PhonePe, or do you want me some other UPI to work with? Well, you can simply go here and pass any other UPI you want to work with. But let's try with PhonePe here also. So I'll again go for the same stuff. You can try with your mobile. You can try with your card also. So anything it's possible. It works pretty nicely here. Okay. So again, I'm going to try it with this particular Android device. Let's see how it goes. So I'm just making the payment and it's done. So it's working for Android and iOS pretty nicely for the UPI one, and along with that you can try with the card one also. Now there is a slight mistake which I need to rectify, which is related to our set toast. Now here what am I doing? Let me just show you in the HTML part. In the HTML I didn't pass did dismiss. So what was happening is the isToast was not set properly, but still if I set toast.isToast equals to false, still it won't work. And here you can see I have passed isToast. Now why I need to do that? Because this is not opening up. So the big question arises how to fix that. It's pretty simple actually. We just need to remove the isToast functionality or the property from the object and we are good to go. We will pass a property called isToast into our TS file. Let me just show you. We are going to pass the isToast to be set to false initially, and when I'm setting the toast at that point of time I'll set isToast to be true, and this isToast is not required anymore, so I'll remove that. That's the only change you need to make. Now if we go back again, this dismiss is very much important because as soon as the toast is dismissed after 3 seconds, it should reset the isToast to be false. Then the next call that we make here will be pretty easy to work with because it will again open up the toast. So let me just show you. And in the backend, I have again passed the test key and secret for the time being. Again, I am going to change it after implementing this up because I want to show you in the test mode here in the browser itself whether this works or not, the toast one. So I'll just click here and it will take it automatically as it is the test mode. As soon as it removes, we are going to see a test toast message here. Just look at that. Razorpay payment successful, as I have given here at the very end, I have passed a toast, which we didn't pass it earlier. So I passed a toast here where I'm setting it a message and the color I'm changing it up. So even if you get an error also, still it will work properly. That is how the toast will work. Don't pass it within an object. It won't work it properly. So I'll set the live key and secret into my Razorpay Node.js project once again. So I hope you're getting it. How to work with the Razorpay one in the latest 2024 with the Capacitor plugin. So I hope you have understood everything about how to work with this particular payment gateway of Razorpay into our Ionic application using Capacitor with Node.js, and how to handle lots of things like we have learned how to work with Ion Toast, how to work with Ion Loading, how to work or how to generate a link from which is available into our local system, how to access it from the internet. We have seen lots of stuff within this particular video. I hope you like this. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. Click on the button below to subscribe, and if you want to learn more about all this stuff, Node.js, Ionic and all other stuff, just check the links in the description of my courses. Go and check that right now. If you want some templates, if there is a new template which I have launched, not exactly the template, the complete platform for food delivery application, go and check that out. Link is here in the description. So all these things are available for you guys. Go and check that right now. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.